Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the inner sanctum.
Oh, you know Jimmy in Boston is going to be tickled to death. An episode of My Friend Irma, starring Marie Wilson. This episode, from November 15th, 1948, is a Thanksgiving show.
For the safety of your smile, use Pepsodent twice a day. See your dentist twice a year. Lever Brothers Company presents the Pepsodent show, My Friend Irma, created by Cy Howard and starring Marie Wilson as Irma with Joan Banks as Jane.
Friendship, friendship, just a perfect friendship. When other friendships have been forgot, theirs will still be hot. My friend Irma.
When a girl is beautiful, like my roommate, Irma Peterson, it's all pretty wonderful. She has a lovely figure, gorgeous blonde hair, and a face that fairly takes your breath away. People wonder why it doesn't go to her head. I'll tell you why, because there it would die of malnutrition. Oh, now, don't get me wrong, I love the girl. It's only that sometimes she does things that give me a groan in the dome. For instance, the other day I was reading the paper, and I said, Irma.
Yes, Jane?
It says here that our shoreline is receding at the rate of 1 inch every 1,000 years.
Gee, that's wonderful. I can hardly wait to go bathing on Fifth Avenue.
Well, it takes all kinds of people to make a world. But right now, I'm too excited to even think about it. You see, I've just received a letter from Richard Rhinelander, my ex-employer, and still the #1 guy in my dreams.
Jane?
Yes, sweetie.
Who's the letter from?
It's from Richard.
Richard? Oh, Jane, what does he say?
I'll read it to you. Dear Jane.
Dear Jane? Oh, he loves you.
What makes you say that?
Because he said dear.
Irma, for your information, at income tax time, I got a letter from the government saying, Dear Miss Stacy, and believe me, the Treasury Department and I are not engaged.
Well, you can't go around with everybody. What else did he write?
Dear Jane, I am basking in the sun at the Rossmore Hotel in Palm Springs. I will be back in New York for Thanksgiving, and I am bringing you a Mexican serape.
Oh, gosh, he's adopted a baby.
Irma, a serape is a blanket. He simply mentioned the gift to show that he's thinking about me. Isn't that sweet?
Yes, men can be so sweet when they're far away. Of course, I like them close, too. You can take all the blankets you want. I'll take Al in person.
Oh, be still, Irma. Hey, I've got an idea. Since Richard will be back on Thanksgiving, let's you and I give a turkey dinner here in the apartment for our boyfriends.
Oh, that'll be wonderful, Jane. And I'm sure Al will have the day off because it's a legal holiday and the unemployment office will be closed.
Grand. Now, look, Irma, it's very important that we don't say anything about this to Mrs. O'Reilly and the professor. It's been a long time since I've seen Richard, and I don't want it spoiled by their constant quarreling. So remember now, not a word.
Oh, I understand, Jane. I won't mention the word turkey once.
Good.
I'll just say we're having chicken.
No, Irma, just don't say anything about Thanksgiving. Is that clear?
Well, of course, Jane.
Come in.
Hello, girls.
Oh, hello, Mrs. O'Reilly.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas? Why, Irma, darling, Thanksgiving isn't here yet.
Uh-oh, the cat's out of the bag.
Irma.
Oh, we're not having any turkey, you know.
How is everything with you, Mrs. O'Reilly?
Not so good, Janie. It's that Professor Kropotkin again. He left another one of his insulting notes on my door. Just listen to this. When I look into your eyes, my heart does flip-ups.
Why, I think that's a beautiful thought.
That's what I thought until I read the rest of it. Look what comes next. That's because you have a face that scares away me hiccups.
Well, Well, you know the professor. He doesn't mean anything by it.
I don't know about that, Janie. The other day he took me to an antique show, and I was having a wonderful time bidding on an early American copper bathtub. And all of a sudden, the professor began to laugh.
What was so funny?
He said it was the first time he'd ever seen one tub bidding on another tub.
Come in.
It's only me, Professor Kropotkin. Hello, Janie, Irma, and Mrs. O'Reilly. My 3 little birds. Janie, graceful like a swan.
Why, thank you, Professor.
And Irma, a little lovebird.
Oh, Professor, that's sweet.
And you, Mrs. O'Reilly.
Yes, Professor?
Old bat.
Why, you. You'll be a dead duck before I get through with you.
No, take it easy, Mrs. O'Reilly. I was only joking. No, to me, you are really an inspiration.
Why, Professor?
No, it's true. Seeing you here in the half-light with your beautiful red hair brings to mind my first romance. Her name was Sonia. Every evening I would find her by the lake with her faithful collie. And this is why every time I see you standing like this, I want to call out and say, "Here over, here over."
Why, you mangy old musician,
Please,
you.
the two of you. Don't you ever know when to call it quits?
I'm sorry, Janie. Mrs. O'Reilly, I apologize.
Well, I should think you would. I try so hard to be friendly with everyone. After all, it'll soon be Thanksgiving.
Yes?
And if you say I look like a turkey, I'll beat your brains out.
Oh, turkey, that reminds me.
Irma.
Reminds you of what, dearie?
Well, you see,
It reminds her of the 4th of July.
4th of July?
Yes, if you open your mouth, there'll be fireworks.
Well, I, for one, have made no plans for Thanksgiving. But as far back as I can remember, I've always been invited to a turkey dinner.
Is that so? Tell me, Mrs. O'Reilly, I've always wanted to know, was Miles Standish a big eater?
Well, as a matter of fact, he was... Now, look here, you.
Oh, Mrs. O'Reilly, I'm sure we'll all have a place to go on Thanksgiving.
I never worry about it, Janie. You see, Thanksgiving is so near the first of the year, and everyone wants to renew their lease. So I always get invited to dinner.
Yeah, I got throat trouble, too.
And I'm sure my best friends won't forget me.
Mrs. O'Reilly, you're priceless. Come on, we'll take a walk over to the automobile showrooms. I want you should stand alongside of a new Nash so I can make a comparison.
Oh, I know what you mean, Professor. We're both so streamlined.
Yes, and you both seat 4 in the front. Goodbye,
Why, you...
Well, that was a bit of a hint, wasn't it, Irma?
Oh, yes, Jane. What are we going to do?
Nothing. We'll just go ahead with the dinner as we planned. After all, we're 2 young girls with beaux, and we're entitled to a little pleasure.
Certainly, we're not married.
Well, personally, I don't think the professor minds not being invited too much, but as for Mrs. O'Reilly, well, she is our landlady, and we've got to stay on the right side of her. So again, Irma, let me remind you, we do nothing to arouse her suspicion.
Oh, you can trust me, Jane. I won't breathe it to a living soul or any of my other friends.
Good. And look, honey, I've got to hurry to keep an appointment with the dentist, so would you mind going to the butcher's and ordering the turkey now so we'll have a good bird?
Oh, I'll be glad to, Jane.
Fine. See you later, sweetie.
Hello? What's that you say? My multiple theory on atomic fission works. Oh, that's nice. Who's it working for? Huh? Oh, no, I'm sorry. This isn't Einstein. My name is Peterson. You have the wrong number. But talking about fishing, if you ever want to go fishing, I'll be glad to go. Goodbye. Gee, now I know how Barbara Stanwyck felt, and sorry, wrong number. Come in.
Hiya, chicken.
Hello, Al, honey. Al, do you have any plans for Thanksgiving?
Well, to tell you the truth, chicken, I did plan on taking you out to dinner. But got a last-minute phone call which makes it necessary for me to be out of town Thanksgiving.
Oh, Al. Jane and I are having a big turkey dinner here, and you're invited. Now you can't make it.
Oh, you're wrong, chicken. Just happened to remember they took my phone out just before the call came through.
Al, you're always making sacrifices for me.
Glad to help you, chicken.
Well, Jane wants me to go right out and order the turkey.
Yeah, chicken, are you and Jane going to have all the trimmings? You know, cranberries, sweet potatoes, stuffing, celery, olives?
Oh, sure, Al.
Well, in that case, I want to chip in.
Oh, Al, it won't be necessary.
No, I insist.
Well, all right, Al, if it'll make you feel any better. What would you like to bring?
Well, let's see. Yeah, I could bring flowers. Might give you hay fever. No point in bringing more candy. Just bought you a pack of Lifesavers last week. Champagne? Caviar? I got it. For them olives you're buying, you'll need toothpicks. Count on me for that.
Oh, no, Al. This is all on us. We want to catch the full spirit of the holiday. Al.
What, chicken?
How did they get the idea of having turkey on Thanksgiving?
Glad you come to me for knowledge, chicken, because I'm loaded with it. See, Thanksgiving originated with a bunch of pilgrims who came to America, led by some very famous men, such as William Penn, Buffalo Bill, and Wild Bill Hickok.
Hickok? Oh, I know. He's the man who invented the suspenders.
Precisely. Now, the Pilgrims really had a tough winter. There was a housing shortage, manufacturing was at a standstill, and everybody was really beaten out of work. So naturally, they felt they had something to be thankful for, so they decided to give a feast.
Oh, I see.
Now, the big delicacy in them days was bear meat. So they sent an Indian guide out to trap a bear. Unfortunately, this guide was nearsighted, and by mistake, he come back with a turkey.
Well, imagine that.
Yeah. And to this day, if it wasn't for that slight defect in Hiawatha's vision, we'd all be sitting down to a Thanksgiving dinner of stuffed bear.
Oh, gee, that would have been perfect for our dinner. Then we could all have a drumstick.
Well, them's the breaks. Come on, chicken, I'll walk you downstairs.
Is that you, Irma, honey? Come on in. Oh, hello, Mrs. O'Reilly. Well, you look awfully upset. Is anything wrong?
Yes. I've just told the Martins upstairs that I have a rule. No pets of any kind in this house.
Yes, I know how strict you are about that.
Well, I just found out they have a canary, and either that bird goes or they go. I'm going right back up there and give them 5 minutes to make up their mind.
Hello? Oh, Richard, how nice of you to call me long distance. Yes, I got your letter. What? Oh, Richard. Oh, no. Oh, murder. Richard, what? I sound crazy? I'm going crazy. I can't talk to you right now. Irma just walked in with a live turkey. Goodbye.
Merry Thanksgiving, Jane.
Irma Peterson, how could you bring home a live turkey?
Well, Jane, I was only trying to save money.
What do you mean, save money?
Well, I felt this one, and it's already stuffed.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Take that turkey back.
Oh, I can't, Jane. The butcher said he won't take George back.
George?
Yes, that's his name.
How do you know?
Well, the butcher said, do you really want this turkey? When I said yes, he said, well, by George. So I did.
November 15th, 1948, My Friend Irma on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of My Friend Irma, November 15th, 1948.
My roommate out to buy a turkey. It's funny, I always thought her name was Irma Peterson, but it's turned out to be Frank Buck because she had to bring it back alive. She's standing in the doorway with the turkey in her arms. She is looking at the turkey, and the turkey is looking at her, and I'm looking at both of them, and I don't know which head to cut off. Irma, what in the world made you buy a live turkey?
Well, you didn't specify, Jen, and he looks so lonely.
But, sweetie, you know Mrs. O'Reilly doesn't allow pets of any sort in the apartment. What will we tell her? She'll throw us out.
Well, we could have cut a hole in the wall and let the turkey's head stick through and tell her we shot it in Africa.
Irma, before I shoot myself, let me make one thing clear. There is still a great housing shortage. If Mrs. O'Reilly finds out we're not inviting her to Thanksgiving dinner and then finds out we have a live turkey in the apartment, all three of us can take a boat to Africa.
Oh, no, Jane, if we're going to take a trip, I'd rather get you on a slow boat to China.
Irma, this is no time for joking. We're in trouble.
Well, now, let's see. Gosh, there must be some way of fooling Miss O'Reilly. I have it. I just bought a new hat, and maybe I can train the bird to sit on it, and I can say it came that way.
No, sweetie, it's liable to lay an egg, and we wouldn't be able to tell it from your head. Oh, nobody but you would bring home a turkey by the name of George.
Oh, see, Jane, isn't he cute? He knows his name.
Look, Irma, I'm not going to waste any more words. There's only one thing for us to do. You'll have to kill it.
Kill George? Oh, Jane, I can't.
Why not?
Would make him an orphan. I mean, I've grown very fond of him.
Oh, for goodness sakes, that's ridiculous.
You see, he just called me Mother. Oh, Jane, I couldn't do it.
Oh, stop dramatizing it. It's not that difficult. You just take a sharp knife and, well, you just cut off its head. It's simple.
But that's murder.
Oh, preposterous. There's nothing to it.
Then you do it.
All right, What's he saying now?
He wants a lawyer.
Oh, this is silly. You and your imagination. You're making a nervous wreck out of me. Oh, if that's Mrs. O'Reilly, this is the end. Who is it?
Me.
Oh, come in.
Hello, Jane. Hi, chicken. I was just about... Hey, that bird's a little early for dinner, ain't he?
Never mind the dialogue. Al, are you a man?
Well, unless I forgot to take off my Halloween costume, yes. What?
Irma bought this live turkey, and if Mrs. O'Reilly finds out about it, we're all dead ducks. So would you, kill it for us?
Oh, me? Nothing doing. I ain't got nothing against him.
Al, don't tell me you're squeamish.
Cannot stand the sight of blood. Cut into a medium rare steak one time, almost passed out.
Don't blame the steak. It wasn't the blood you saw, it was the check.
Oh, no, Jane, Al has a soft heart. I know because every time I think about him, I get the same feeling in my head.
Well, thanks, chicken. But know what to do. You see, in a case like this, there's only one man who can help us.
Who, Al?
Who else but... Hello, Joe. Al, got a problem. Have to knock off a certain bird. What's my move? What? For a C note, one of your boys, Casual Casper, will do the job so it'll look like an accident? No, Joe, this is a feathered bird. A turkey. What do you advise? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Joe, and goodbye, noble friend. Well, your problem is solved, girls. All we have to do is spread breadcrumbs around the electric fan. And when your little turkey starts poking his head around them blades, you turn on the switch, set the table.
No, Al. I don't think I care for feathered wallpaper. Uh-oh. This could be it. Who's there?
It's only me again, Kropotkin.
Oh, come in.
Hello, Janie, Irma, and Alan. Oh, look, it's a turkey. For a minute, I thought it was Mrs. O'Reilly.
His name is George.
A pleasure. Girls, I don't want to be a wet blanket, but if Mrs. O'Reilly sees that bird and realizes she isn't looking in a mirror, she's going to throw you both right out.
We know that, Professor. Maybe you can help us, huh?
Anything you want, Janie.
I knew we could count on you. Would you kill the turkey for us?
Certainly. It's simple.
Well, how are you going to do it?
I'll tell him he has to share my room with me and he'll commit suicide.
Well, I can see you're not going to be any help. Well, Irma, we have no choice. I know it sounds ridiculous, but we're going to put a leash around that bird's neck, and you and I are going to walk him down to the butcher shop.
Oh, but Jane...
Please, Irma. My mind is made up.
All right. Come on, George.
So long, George. I'll be seeing you Thanksgiving. You won't be seeing me, but I'll be seeing you.
November 15th, 1948, My Friend Irma on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. A conclusion next. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of My Friend Irma, starring Marie Wilson. Turkey Dinner, November 15th, 1948.
Well, we managed to get the turkey out of the building without Mrs. O'Reilly seeing us. And now we're walking it down the street. Irma is leading the turkey on a leash.
Come on, Fido. Here, Fido.
Irma, why are you calling Fido?
Well, we won't be conspicuous if people think it's a dog. Come on, Fido.
Irma, can't you get that turkey to go faster?
No, I think he knows where we're going. He keeps pulling back.
That's silly.
Jane.
What?
He's looking at you.
He is? I mean, so what?
He's got tears in his eyes.
It's just your imagination. Now, come on. Oh, there's the butcher's. Irma, please, stop pulling on my skirt.
That isn't me, it's a turkey.
It is?
Yes. Why don't you look at him?
Oh, stop being so emotional. After all, it's only a turkey. I think I had no willpower if I allowed myself to be... Irma?
Yes?
What's he doing now?
He's still staring at you and crying.
Oh, this is ridiculous. We're behaving like children. Now, there's nothing to it. Come on, Irma. Here's the butcher. You take him in.
I can't. He trusts me.
Oh. Now, see here, Irma. If you think I'm going to let a turkey make a fool out of me... Oh, Irma.
What, Jane?
I think he trusts me, too. Well, we're back in the apartment. Irma, myself, and... guess who? That's right. Dear little George. So far, we haven't crossed paths with Mrs. O'Reilly, but it's only a matter of time. Irma, however, is quite calm about the whole thing. She's knitting. Irma, what are you doing?
I'm knitting some booties.
Irma!
They're for George. I mean Georgette. She just laid an egg.
Oh, quick, Irma. Put the turkey in the bathroom. This might be Mrs. O'Reilly.
Oh, all right, Jane. Okay, he's in the bathroom.
Come in.
Hello, Janie. I thought you had company. I heard a strange voice.
Oh, that was me.
You, Irma?
Yes, it was her.
Yes, there I go again.
Irma, are you sure that's you?
Yes, I have hiccups.
But it sounded like a bird.
Well, I had eggs for breakfast.
Mrs. O'Reilly, tell me, where did you buy that lovely hat?
I'm not wearing a hat.
And it's very becoming.
Don't change the subject. I know what's going on. You've got something in that bathroom, and I'm going to find out what it is right now.
Well, Irma, get the suitcases. We might as well start packing.
Oh, girls. Oh, will you ever forgive me for being so suspicious? The bathroom's empty. That sound must have come from one of the other apartments. I'll go see. Oh, and I'm so sorry I bothered you.
Irma, I can't believe it. Let's look in the bathroom. Well, for goodness sakes, you left the window open and Georgette has flown away. Irma, we're saved.
Well, this is terrible.
What do you mean, terrible?
Who's going to sit on the egg?
turkey for Thanksgiving, but at least we haven't been dispossessed by Mrs. O'Reilly, who's so strict about her rule, no pets. Irma, however, seems to be terribly concerned about this. Irma, honey, what's troubling you?
Oh, gosh. Now I'm afraid to have Al come over. All we do is pet.
And you know, talking about pets, me, Jane Stacy, I'm happy to live a dog's life with my friend Irma.
My Friend Irma is produced and directed by Cy Howard. Park Levy writes the script with Stanley Adams and Roland McLean, and it's brought to you by Pepsodent Toothpaste with Irium, another fine product of Lever Brothers Company. Marie Wilson is starred as Irma, with Joan Banks as Jane. The part of Al was played by John Brown. Hans Conried was heard as Professor Kropotkin, and Gloria Gordon as Mrs. O'Reilly. Music was under the direction of Lud Guskin. Don't forget, you'll be able to hear My Friend Irma on the big 2-hour, star-studded Thanksgiving Day program over most of these stations. Losses due to fires are at an all-time high and still skyrocketing. With preventable fires striking at the lives of our citizens, their homes, communities, and our forests, it behooves all of us to help prevent the destruction and loss which fire inevitably causes.
November 15th, 1948, My Friend Irma on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of the soap opera Claudia going back to that same date, November 15th, 1948.
And now, Claudia.
Listen, David, you don't have to be so gloomy about it.
I'm not gloomy.
Well, you haven't said a word since we left the house.
For which you should be very grateful.
I don't see what's so terrible about your having to drive me down to the village to take a driver's test.
No, you don't, huh?
Besides, now remember, I didn't ask you. You offered.
Well, I had to.
I would have been perfectly delighted to drive down by myself.
That's just the point. Can't I make you understand?
Understand what?
That you're not supposed to drive yourself when you don't have a license.
But I do have a license a whole year. You were with me the day I passed it.
How you ever got it, I'll never know.
Well, I
Simply
got it.
bamboozled the man into giving it to you.
Now, let's not go through that again. David, not so fast.
Now, for the last time. Don't worry about me driving. You're not supposed to drive unless you have your license with you.
Yeah.
If you've lost it, you either have to pay the penalty of not driving until you find it, or
Catch your breath,
of waiting until the Bureau of Licenses sends you another, or you do what we're doing. You go down and take a test.
Well, I think what we're doing is silly.
You're entitled to your opinion.
No, it doesn't seem to do me any good. I don't want to have to take another driver's test.
What's the matter? Afraid you can't pass it?
Huh, listen to him. I can pass it with my eyes shut.
Well, sometimes I think you drive with your eyes shut.
Now listen here. You volunteered to drive me downtown, so don't be so disagreeable about it. Unless you just volunteered because you think I'll fail.
Now I'm accused of being disagreeable.
Sorry.
Look, darling, I thought the best thing for everybody concerned, seeing as you lost your license, was just to drive down to Eastbrook and take a test for a Connecticut license. After all, since you're a Connecticut Yankee, you might as well drive with a Connecticut license.
It's just a lot of balderdash.
What is?
Well, if I can pass a test for a license in New York, why do I have to take another one for a license in Connecticut?
Because it's the law.
Huh. Whenever men do things in a silly way, they always say it's the law. I think we women ought to get together and straighten out the law. You would certainly let it get awfully complicated.
Every state has its own driving regulations. If you want a license in that state, you observe those regulations. That's all there is.
What's the matter? Doesn't Connecticut have any respect for New York?
Connecticut loves New York.
New York thinks I'm all right.
And I suppose they told you personally.
After all, driving is the same in Connecticut as it is in New York, no?
No.
Only easier, not half the traffic. But you certainly drive the same way. You drive on the right, you put your hand out, step on the clutch, stop when the lights are... This is an awful waste of time.
I don't need a lesson. I should have known. Here I am staying away from the office just so I can get you a license, and all I get is complaints, excuses.
Actually, I think it's awfully sweet of you, David. I do.
You do?
Well, this whole business of a license, it just seems... Oh, well, I suppose since it's the law.
Of course it's the law. Exactly how long have you been driving around without a license, Claudia?
I have a license. It's just lost.
Well, how long?
I don't know. I just found out that I lost it a few weeks ago, so... Well, it couldn't be very long.
A few weeks ago?
Yeah.
So it couldn't be very long?
No.
Don't you realize what would happen if you were caught running around without a license?
I don't realize what.
Well, you would have been fined for breaking the law, that's what. It's a misdemeanor running around without a license.
Nobody caught me.
Well, you're just lucky. You have no moral sense whatsoever.
Oh, I have a lot of moral sense. But if a person can drive, well, a person can drive.
Yeah.
Proof of the pudding is I haven't had an accident.
No, knock on wood.
If I had an accident, and they would have found out that I'd lost my license, well, that would serve me right. But since I'm an excellent driver, it's none of anybody's business.
There's no point in arguing. I can see that.
None.
Where do you think you lost your license?
If I knew, I'd find it again.
No.
Darling, haven't you ever lost yours?
I have not.
Well, you're
I'm just grateful I found out about you now. The thought of you gallivanting around the countryside.
David, you make it sound like a crime.
It is a crime.
It's just a little misdemeanor. You said so yourself.
I had to marry a woman.
Most men do. Oh, David, come on. Let's not argue. I'm perfectly willing to take another test. I'm just sorry that it's such a waste of time for you.
Well, it is a waste of time for me. You just remember that.
Well, then you should have let me drive downtown by myself.
That's the whole point. You can't drive without a license.
I can, perfectly. Have for weeks.
I give up. Thank heavens we're here.
I bet you don't think I can pass a driver's license test in Connecticut.
Well, I wouldn't stake my life on it.
Oh, it's really lovely when a person's husband believes in a person, so it fills a person with such confidence.
Well, the trouble with that person's driving is you have too much confidence and not enough talent.
Oh, sweeter and sweeter. David, why are you so grumpy?
I'm not grumpy.
Well, you are. Is it because you love me?
I suppose so.
Is it so awful to love me, dear, dear?
Pretty awful.
Guess so. Well, here we are. There is the town hall.
The woman will get out of the way. I can park the car right here on the street.
Oh, wonderful. David, you'll come with me when I drive the little man around, won't you?
Oh, we'll see.
Say, he wouldn't be going to ask me to park it in backwards, would he?
Oh, you'll probably talk him out of it.
Well, after all, I have a license from New York State, so why should he?
Please, let's just not go through all that again.
Say, is this going to take very long?
It just depends on you.
Good, then I can drive you to the station.
Well, if you pass your test, they'll give you a temporary license.
Honestly, such a rigmarole.
All right, here we go. Now, watch out crossing the street.
I'm watching, darling.
The only license they'll give you is to a cemetery. Claudia, didn't you see that car?
I saw it. He didn't see me. Honestly, the way some people drive.
Have you at least brought identification?
Of me?
Of course of you.
I brought you. You can tell him who I am.
That won't be enough. Don't you have written identification?
Well, I always use my license. As you know, it's lost.
So we'll just have to hope the police sergeant trusts you.
Oh, it's going to be a policeman.
I expect so.
Oh, well, still, they're usually kind of nice. They always have wives and children at home. Makes a difference in a man.
I should say it does. Bureau of Licenses. It should be on the main floor.
Marriage licenses, too. Wish we were getting a marriage license.
Well, we have one already, and one is sufficient.
You know, our marriage license is for New York State, David. It'd be nice if we could get one for Connecticut. Like a driver's license.
Mrs. Norton, someday I will know whether you mean it when you say things like that or not.
That's it, you think.
Now, come on. Here we are. Is this where we apply for the driver's license?
It is.
My wife would like to apply for a driver's license.
Does she know how to drive?
Of course I know how to drive. Officer, this is purely a routine matter. I have my driver's license from New York State, and that should
Show
be
me your
enough.
license.
Well, I've lost it. Else why do you think I'd be here?
We've taken up residence here in Connecticut, officer, so I thought my wife might just as well have a Connecticut license.
I'll have to put her through the test.
Officer, can't you take my word for it?
A woman's word on her driving? Huh. Look, lady, I'm a married man.
Oh, that's nice. I thought you'd be.
You were saying, officer?
Now, here's the form to fill out, and here's the reading chart.
Well, fortunately, I know how to read.
The officer cannot take your word for it.
What's the matter? Don't I look as if I knew how to read?
No.
Thanks. Now, what does reading have to do with driving, anyway? This is so far-fetched, David.
You wouldn't know, but they do put up signs by the side of the road, you know, like U-turn not allowed or stop signs, which you never notice.
I've seen them.
It's nice to know.
We'll give you the eye test first.
Oh, let's get to the driving part. My husband has to catch a train.
The officer's interested in you, not me.
Read this chart, ma'am.
Oh, you can skip that. I have wonderful eyes. I can see a mile. Right close up, too.
Read the chart, ma'am.
Oh, all right. From the top of the bottom.
From the top.
LPQS. Say, who decides what order to put these letters in?
No.
Nobody decides.
Somebody must. The order of these letters has nothing to do with anything. Is it just pot luck, do you think, officer?
Yes, ma'am. Just potluck. The chart, ma'am, the second line.
If it's not too much trouble.
No, not at all. PBFM as in Mary. Q. How am I doing?
Superb.
Go on.
Oh, look, now this is really silly. My husband has to catch a train.
Then read. Stop talking.
Why don't they write something interesting?
The third line, ma'am, please.
QWCHJ.
All right, that'll do.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't finish. I was just getting interested.
That'll do. Now, this card, what color is it?
Green.
And what is green used for?
Grass.
Claudia, this is no time for joking. He only wants to find out if you're colorblind.
That's no way to find out. Even a colorblind person would know that's green.
How?
Because it's green.
I'll explain to you about color blindness later.
What color is this card?
Red, of course. Are people who want licenses utterly morons?
Some people, yes.
All right, ma'am. You can see. We've proved that much.
I could have told you that in the first place. Now, what else do I have to do, officer? The car's right outside.
Not so fast.
Red tape, that's what this is. Red tape.
Are you filling out the form?
Yes, I'm filling it out. Age. How old am I? 19. Weight. Height, 5'3.5". Oh, why quibble? I'll make it 5'4" even.
It's nice of you.
Color of my eyes.
Hey, you got your identification with you?
Well, that is why I'm filling out my driver's license, so I'll have some identity.
Ma'am, what do you have to prove that you're you?
Well, who else could I be?
Oh, ma'am, listen.
All right. David, you show him yours. Your license will prove we're us.
Will my New York driver's license do, officer?
Oh, yeah, do fine.
Just a minute. It's in my wallet in one of my pockets. Not this one. Must be back here.
Why do they make men's clothes with so many pockets? They can never find anything.
Yeah.
Oh, here, the color of my hair. I forgot.
Yeah. I can't understand it. I always take my wallet with me. I must have it here someplace.
Mm-hmm.
Well, officer, I don't understand it, but I seem to have forgotten my wallet and left it in another pair of trousers or something, and all my identifications are in my wallet.
I guess that settles that.
David, do you mean that you don't have your driver's license with you?
It would seem that
David Norton, do you mean to say that you have been driving your car,
Claudia.
gallivanting all around the countryside
Claudia.
without your driver's
Hush
license?
up, Claudia.
No license, huh?
Well, it's just a mistake. It's the first time I forgot.
No license. David, it's a misdemeanor.
Hush up.
Who drove the car down here from River Road?
Oh, he did, officer, because I didn't have my license. I wouldn't dream of driving the car around without a license.
You just wait until I get my hands on you.
Mm-hmm. The state of Connecticut has a habit of collecting $3 for people who drive without a license.
Now, wait a minute. Now, they can't do this to me. I tell you it's a mistake.
However, seeing as I didn't actually see you drive up without a license, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If the little lady can pass the driving test, I'll give her a temporary license and let her drive you home.
I have an idea that I better be good.
I have an idea you'd better be good or else.
When you're in need of refreshment, the sight of a bright red cooler with Coca-Cola printed on it is as welcome as the flowers in May. But you don't need a red cooler at home. You already have a white cooler of your own. Your family refrigerator will hold Coke galore for the family needs and for entertaining as well. Keep it well stocked. Then you'll always have access to the pause that refreshes.
Young folks don't seem to have much of an eye for the law these days, do they, Mr. King?
Well, this is one of those unfortunate moments, officer. Usually, David is very considerate of the law.
He is. Still, you have to find them when they break it.
I guess so. He's going to have a hard time living this one down now.
Yeah, too bad his wife was along. Hate to find a man when his wife's along. But it's my duty.
Well, having a wife makes a lot of things different for a man. An awful lot of things.
You're telling me.
For instance, without a wife, David would paint the porch furniture in the spring. But with Claudia, he paints it in the fall, and all he can do is complain.
It's a tough life for a husband. Well, I better be getting home to my wife, or officer of the law or not, she'll lay it down on me.
Well, so long, officer. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir.
November 15th, 1948, Claudia here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much. for making us a part of your day. Would you thank this station, support their advertisers? It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite station. And if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows and learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me. You can find a list of places where you can download our shows. You can find our social media links. And one of the best things you can do is buy me a coffee. The Buy Me a Coffee money goes not only to help us build our classic radio collection and expand it to bring you additional varieties of shows, but it also goes to help our comments out there, keep our shows out there, and for us to be able to make things happen. Our distribution channels, that's the words I was looking for, our distribution channels up and running. That is at classicradio.stream, classicradio.stream. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.